Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's episode is called The Day After New York and Los Angeles Completely Collapse. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our show for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we post a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to help spread the word and let all your friends and relatives benefit from the wonderful wisdom which we will impart on you. Now, let's get started. We keep hearing how much worse can things get. People say that things are already insufferable, but they wonder how much worse can it really get out there in places like New York and LA and some other cities. How much worse can the crime, the joblessness, and the breakdowns of services become? Well, we did the research, and here's what we found out. It's really sort of disturbing. When New York and LA completely collapse financially and socially, and in many other ways, here's what it will look like the day after. The complete collapse will probably be triggered first by an existential event. Perhaps the stock market will collapse, or the banks will close their doors and shut down their ATMs. Perhaps one of our military or economic enemies will attack us physically or with some kind of hack or attack on our energy grid. Perhaps one of our military or financial enemies will attack us physically or with some kind of hack on our energy grid. Whatever happens will be dramatic and it will be sudden. It may be an attack on parts or all of our communications system. It may be an attack on our hospitals or on our pharmaceutical distribution system. It could be that people wake up one morning and they turn on their water faucets and nothing comes out. They may turn on their lights and the room remains dark because the power grid is offline. So let's say that this occurs and that it causes a major and total collapse in New York and Los Angeles. What does that look like? Well, today we're going to tell you, and it's not going to be pretty. First of all, when you call 911, you will get a busy signal or simply no answer because the 911 system will be completely overwhelmed or knocked out by hackers. The 911 system will then become incapable of helping or responding to the calls from most people. Next, the gas stations will be emptied by mile-long lines of cars hoping to get enough gas just to get home from work. Some people will turn on their TVs for news, and guess what? Some channels will work, other channels will be dark. The schools and colleges will let people out, and they'll go home and stay there for obvious reasons. The grocery store shelves will be empty. The water system probably won't come back on until the power system does, and who knows how long it'll take for the power to return. People who have manually operated water wells will still be able to get water, but people who have electrically pumped wells will not be able to access the water that they own on their property. Insurance companies will quickly lock down and stop honoring or even accepting new claims. Airports may still function for a few days on reserve or battery backup power, but after that they will close down until battery and power and water are restored. Leaders from countries around the world will beg the U.S. for help, but it will not come until the U.S. can cure its own problems. Civil unrest and riots in the U.S. will explode within a week. Groups with guns will go out and start stealing food from whoever they can. People who own guns will survive much longer than those who never believed in guns. Without guns to protect themselves, the unarmed will quickly have everything stolen from them. At this point, it's going to be total Darwinism, total chaos and anarchy. The animals will rule, and the civilized and unarmed will be starved out, literally starved out. If you're not protected by someone who is well armed, then you'll be starved out or killed very quickly, and your possessions will be seized and stolen. Now, what about the government and the authorities? Well, will they be able to help you? No, that's an emphatic no. Just like the recent fires in Hawaii, the wealthiest and most powerful and best prepared will be able to survive, while everyone else will have everything they owned stolen or destroyed. So who will survive? Well, the wealthy and highly prepared insiders will survive. Also, people who live far from the cities and rural areas will last longer. You know, people out on the farms, They're just more self-sufficient, more independent. They're going to last a little bit longer. If they can generate their own electricity from windmills or solar, then that'll make a huge difference. What about religious organizations and charities? Will they be able to help? Very little, because their water and power will be shut off as well. Another problem with charities is that they'll lose access to their funds when their banks freeze or close everything. What about the police? Will they be able to help? Very little. Many of them will stay home to protect their families, while the rest will try and help somebody else. But unfortunately, the vast majority of people calling for help will get a busy signal. What about after the water and power get turned on? Well, that'll help, but food distribution will still be an ongoing problem. It'll be rationed for most people, and a lot of them will simply not get enough food for a long time. What about crime levels? What will those be like? Well, I hate to say this, but crime, no matter how bad you think it is now, will go up exponentially. Some cities and states will turn into war zones. And the cities and states that are already war zones, like a lot of the coastal cities, they're going to turn into something completely unrecognizable. It'll be like the gates of hell have opened up in those cities. Crime will rise to such levels that when people walk outside their homes, all they're going to hear is the sound of constant gunfire off in the distance. In fact, it'll be so much gunfire that most people will be relieved that it's not on their block. They can tolerate it if it's a few blocks away, just as long as it doesn't happen on their block. High-profile places like Wall Street and Beverly Hills will protect themselves with private security, or they will bring in the military or the National Guard to help, but a lot of other cities will just be run over. Bullets, bottled water, canned food, portable radios, and shortwave receivers or transceivers will soon become as valuable as physical gold and silver. People asking the government for help will get responses that will be very obvious lies. The government and the major corporations will lose all credibility and belief from the people. No one will trust them. People will completely stop going to churches and synagogues and mosques unless it's just to steal some wood from there to keep their own homes warm. Unfortunately, we suspect that most religious buildings will be completely locked down. When that happens, people will break in and simply start tearing those buildings down for firewood so their families can survive the cold weather. People will not notice that most of the dogs and cats will soon go missing. The dogs that were roaming the streets, they're going to be missing or stolen soon, and they'll be taken for food. The Postal Service will completely stop because the mailmen will have been attacked and robbed so many times that they're going to refuse to do their jobs, and understandably so. Auto theft will occur constantly and every day. If your car is not locked up inside your garage, then it's probably going to be stolen. So you're better off just removing the battery each night or disconnecting one of the starter fuses. If you have farm animals, then they will be stolen and killed for food as well. Unless you have an Elon Musk internet Starlink connection, then your access to the internet will probably be weak or become non-existent. After a few weeks with no water or food, the death rate will explode as people start piling bodies up in front of their homes for pickup and removal. When the bodies start piling up, that's when you know that we're about to enter phase 2 of the collapse. What is that, you ask? Well, it's going to be much worse. No one will answer when you call for help. The news channels will go down. They'll be dark. There will be no people on the streets or roads. The stores will all be empty. The water and power will be going on and off intermittently, and it'll mostly be off. What happens at the end of phase 2? Well, that's when total Darwinism and survival of the fittest begins. Good luck. Thank you for watching. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on the notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to spread the word. Thank you and goodbye. One more thing. Now would be a really good time, if you haven't been paying attention, to begin looking up preparedness and stocking up on food and self-defense items and things like that. Just saying. You don't have to believe, but just saying. Thank you once again, and goodbye.